Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's take another look here at XRP, double check a few important factors. I get a ton of requests for this coin now, so we're going to maybe consider making this a daily driver. Why don't you vote, comment below if you think that's a good idea, provide your insight, and I'll go ahead and give you mine. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the back end liquidation data first, kind of get a baseline, see what's going on. And I do ask you, just hit the like button at the very least. Anytime you watch my videos really helps grow the channel, get this in front of more people so those moon boys stop getting so many people destroyed. It is crazy the stuff I'm hearing from people taking, telling people to take longs at 94,000 on Bitcoin, for example, when we still got a massive CME gap available. Anyways, we'll talk about that in a minute. Just so you know, I don't think the pullback is fully stopped, fully continued lower. I think we got a little bit more left, and I'll explain why, but a lot of that hinges on Bitcoin and the overall sentiment there too. So quickly to note, a lot of liquidation in sparse areas here between 240 and 250. If I'm not mistaken, that's going to be the 0.5 fib level. We'll double check that. But generally speaking, I think we still have a little bit more downside before we're bottoming out. It does depend, though, of course, if Bitcoin wants to take off from here or continue lower. Okay, so you got to recognize that. Even though XRP does move independent of Bitcoin at times, right now it does seem like this retracement is very consistent with the rest of the market. Just a natural, buy the rumor, sell the news, or yeah, basically it, because we had some news yesterday, right? And today is just that typical sell-off, that selling pressure we normally see. Either way you look at it, there's nothing really else here on the macro that can really tell us too much from a liquidation standpoint. We can see here we're starting to even out. Basically means we have just as many longs as we do shorts. So we're going to probably start to see the price compress here as a potential pivot point or a bouncing point soon. Again, it's all potential hypothetical at this point. We don't know officially until we get there, but between now and then, we need to know that, oh my gosh, look at these late longs here. $2.95. Imagine being a long at $2.95 on this coin. That is crazy, folks. You don't take longs when prices are overextended like this and Bitcoin still is under its descending trend line. Again, it's easy to say right now, of course, hindsight's 2020. I was watching the markets yesterday. I really wanted to provide some updates, but I kind of steered clear just based on the simple fact that it's my one day off. And at this point, though, the easy way to understand it, the one insight I gave my community is to don't be a late long and be very careful waiting for, wait for a better short opportunity. Because a lot of folks are trying to short this, 220, 230 range. It didn't make a ton of sense when there's so much volume flowing in. Now that volume's flowing away from the coin, we can see prices coming down. Big surprise. Anyways, let's take a look at the weekly, kind of see where we're at. We can recognize that we did break this tentative descending trend line on the daily. We'll look at that here in a minute. The overall sentiment here is looking pretty decent. For the most part, further upside makes sense, considering this is a type of bullish, a bullish retest of a descending trend line. Okay? Again, that's one thing though, folks. You don't take a trade based on one hidden bullish or bearish divergence. And I always say that sarcastically because I hear people talking about that consistently with other influencers talking about these hidden signs. Nothing should be hidden in trading, folks. I mean, everything is hidden when you think about the nonsense that these market makers are pulling off on a daily basis. But the charts are not going to give us, one convergence or a divergence when everything else is fully bearish. It's dumb to fall into that trap. Either way you look at it here, we're under 70 on the RSI, above 50. Most coins are not in this position. So the macro looks actually pretty decent, but from a momentum standpoint, further downside is also probable. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen based on the overall sentiment here, more market adoption, more people trying to buy this coin based on them hearing about it in the news a lot. There's always that type of catalyst, but the truth is the weekly doesn't really have phenomenal scenarios or situations here, letting us know that we're just going to go straight to the moon from here. But if you can see here, and we'll pull this up on smaller time frames, we're getting close to that halfway point. A lot of times coins will come back down to their local halfway from the local high. And bounce and pivot off that level. I'll explain that here in a minute, but Bitcoin does look like it's rallying back to the 91, 92K range. If we can continue higher, we're probably going to see altcoins recover quite quickly. All that being said, when we take a look on the daily time frame, we can recognize here that we're over 50 on the RSI. That's generally a very positive sign. Stochastic swinging up. Money flow index is lower than I'd like it to be, but once more, that's not really a good indicator because it's only factoring in the last 14 days. And we've seen some weird bullish type of pumps and dumps with this coin. So the MFI is going to be throwing off the charts a little bit, especially today being Monday, but we do see a MACD convergence here. The majority of these signs are pretty obvious that this coin, even though we're down 10% on the day, has more sustainability, more price the likelihood of the price going lower is less, okay? And let's look at this here. Ever since we've been in this upper range of $2 plus, we've seen the absolute most amount of volume at 240. So I would say worst case scenario, if the price pulls back any further, 240 would be a solid consideration for a long. If we take a look here at fib levels, I'll go ahead and pull this up again on smaller time frames. You'll see it a little easier. But this halfway point is 248 and 0.618, that 240 range. That's a solid area of consideration for a long. I'm not proposing we're going to see that, but if Bitcoin does pull back to fill its CME gap, there's a solid chance that we're going to be able to see that area retested. So let's take a quick look here. We can see that overall, from the 4-hour time frame, we're above all moving averages. That's awesome. We are in a position where we're over 50 on the RSI. Money flow index is higher than the price. We're maintaining really close to our moving average. And then, of course, we've got the MACD sort of kind of cooling off a little bit. So these are all, generally speaking, very favorable signs, minus the momentum, which once more, as we've talked about, or generally I like to discuss this, momentum isn't necessarily the greatest barometer of prices continuing or reversing. We can see a massive order block here at 295. Anytime you see that, you want to consider selling. Inverse as well. If we start to see some order blocks near the bottom, that means we want to consider buying, but we're not there yet. We look at the Ichimoku cloud though, and there's a lot of reasons here. I'm speculating as to why. Well, actually, hold on. Let me rephrase that. The Ichimoku cloud is kind of letting us know here that we're reaching an impasse. In other words, when the price action gets close to this range, we can see the MACD converging. We're above the cloud in one area, but the lagging spans intersecting in another. These are not phenomenal signs here. In other words, it's kind of implying if we don't go up soon, we're probably going to go down much harder. So here's kind of the easy way to understand it, is that short-term macro perspectives here, they're all mostly pointing up. However, we got a short-term hourly time frame kind of letting us know that we're maybe shifting momentum to the downside. So really a lot of this hinges on Bitcoin, but if Bitcoin can maintain 90,000 or higher, I think there's a solid chance we're going to continue upwards. If Bitcoin fills its CMA gap, we're probably going to see 230 to 240 here. That would be a perfect place to consider a long if we see that happen. Okay? So just some friendly advice here. Be very careful trading in these transitions. A lot of times you want to wait for a side to be established first before taking the trade. But again, the market the way that it is, folks, you have to get in almost before the trend is established because it just moves so fast. So you tell me down below, comment below, let me know what your thoughts are here on this. I'd love to hear it. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks again so much for your time. Make sure you reference Bitunix too, folks. Link down below. Excellent deposit reward bonus this month. Nice little rewards there between now and March 14th. And obviously I'll have a playout chart here available for you on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. Reference that as well. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next video. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. See you soon.